From the pages of Power Slam issue 10, May 1995, the magazine opens like a storm with the somber remembrance of Big John Studd, the towering giant whose career spanned territories and eras, from his early days under the watchful eye of Killer Kowalski to his masked run as an executioner in the WWF, to his triumphant wars in World Class, his alliance with Bobby Heenan, his feud with Andre the Giant, and his crowning moment winning the Royal Rumble in 1989 before the cruel hand of fate cut him down at just 46 years of age, leaving fans to mourn a true giant of the squared circle. The tribute reads less like an obituary and more like a saga, a reminder that men like Studd carried the business on their massive shoulders, leaving behind a legacy of unforgettable battles and the family who loved him dearly. From there, the magazine pivots into fire as editor Finn Martin unloads both barrels on WCW's uncensored pay-per-view, an event he brands the very worst supercard he had ever endured. Just a year before, WCW's Spring Stampede had earned acclaim as one of the greatest shows of the decade, yet now the company had sunk into self-parody under the heavy hand of Hulk Hogan's creative control. What was billed as no rules chaos devolved into meaningless slop, with Renegade parading as a warrior imitation, Hogan and Vader's strap match descending into farce, and the crowd turning on the supposed savior of the company. Martin drives home his point with a cutting comparison: the WWF's top 5 stars, Diesel, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Bam Bam Bigelow, tower above WCW's current lineup of Hogan, Randy Savage, Ric Flair, Vader, and Renegade. The gulf, he warns, has never been wider. The news section crackles with scandal and shock, beginning with Shawn Michaels' betrayal at the hands of Sid. On Raw, Michaels graciously offered Diesel a rematch, but denied Sid his ringside role. That slight unleashed the monster, who hurled his supposed friend into the mat with 3 bone-rattling power bombs, until Diesel charged in for the rescue. In that instant, the Heartbreak Kid transformed from cocky showboat into one of the hottest babyfaces in the sport. Meanwhile, Alundra Blaze reclaimed the women's title from Bull Nakano, only to be ambushed by newcomer Bertha Faye, who debuted in crushing fashion. Bull herself exited the company quietly, while Bam Bam Bigelow began a face turn fresh from WrestleMania, and even Bob Backlund teased a change in direction. But the shadows lengthened too, as Crush was arrested in Hawaii on drug and weapons charges and summarily fired, and Kama stoked outrage by parading jewelry he claimed was forged from the melted urn of The Undertaker. The Allied powers, Lex Luger and Davey Boy Smith, marched into battle with Owen Hart and Yokozuna, the latter's weight swelling dangerously close to 600 pounds. Razor Ramon snatched the USWA Unified title from Jeff Jarrett. Brian Lee dethroned Brian Christopher, and the company seemed at once surging with new rivalries and sagging under its own contradictions. On the WCW side, the axe fell. Dustin Rhodes, Blacktop Bully, and Mike Graham were all fired on March 16th, casualties of the infamous truck match filmed on a moving 18-wheeler, punished for daring to shed real blood in the no-blood era. Harley Race was quietly released. Paul Roma shown the door, and even Dusty Rhodes staged a dramatic walkout in protest over his son's treatment. Plans for a new 4 Horsemen with Austin, Vader, Flair, and Arn evaporated. The cruiserweight division was shelved, and talk of an MMA-style pay-per-view fizzled. Vader, after roughing up Dave Sullivan, was stripped of the United States title. A tournament launched to crown a new champion at the Great American Bash. Slamboree was booked as a spectacle, Hogan and Savage colliding with Flair and Vader, Sting battling Big Bubba, Harlem Heat locking horns with the Nasty Boys, Arn Anderson facing Alex Wright, and a Hall of Fame honoring Terry Funk, Wahoo McDaniel, and Dusty Rhodes himself. Yet beneath the fanfare lay the stench of chaos, of a company unraveling. And then there was ECW, where Bedlam became an art form. The return of the Funker saw Terry Funk wield branding irons and barbed wire, where Flaming Chaos ruled the night, where the Public Enemy seized the tag titles in a 3-way with Benoit, Malenko, and Rick Steiner, where Shane Douglas clung to his ECW title in a storm of violence, and where Sabu's failure to appear at booked shows lit the crowd on fire with chants of betrayal, A man once worshipped, now vilified. Down south, Smoky Mountain Wrestling harnessed the drawing power of The Undertaker, pairing him with Bob Armstrong and Tracy Smothers against the Gangstas, proving that even regional promotions could explode with box office heat when mixed with star power. Across the Pacific, Japanese wrestling reached heights unseen. Weekly Pro Wrestling Magazine's Tokyo Dome extravaganza united 13 promotions in a carnival of combat. Aja Kong clashing with Manami Toyota, Terry Funk stepping into a death war alongside Nakamaki, a Nobuhiko Takada forcing a tap from Billy Scott, Misawa, Kobashi, and Hansen waging war against Kawada, Taue, and Ace in an epic draw, and Shinya Hashimoto defeating Masahiro Chono in the main event before 60,000 screaming fans. It was a summit of Puroresu, a moment where every corner of the sport converged under one roof, delivering a showcase no fan would ever forget. The magazine did not neglect the women's scene either. In All Japan Women's Pro Wrestling, Takako and Kyoko Inoue vacated their titles only to win them back, cementing their place as the 100th WWWA Tag Champions after a grueling tournament victory over Manami Toyota and Blizzard Yuki in Osaka Castle Hall, a testament to endurance and excellence. In New Japan, Jushin Liger's health loomed uncertain, while Wrestling Dontaku loomed, promising Hashimoto versus Muto and Road Warriors against Steiners. In All Japan, Steve Williams' suspension cracked open opportunities, Kenta Kobashi rising to fill the void. Everywhere the eye turned, Japan was pulsing with intensity. All this wrapped with reviews, letters from the fans, and rankings that cast judgment on who truly stood atop the wrestling world. Power Slam issue 10 is more than a magazine. It is a time capsule of turbulence where giants fell, companies cracked, upstarts surged, and fans around the globe found themselves at the edge of their seats. It captures the mourning of a legend, the fury of a betrayed heartbreak kid, the lunacy of ECW, the decay of WCW, and the triumph of Japanese wrestling, all bound within glossy pages that seethe with passion. From the pages of Power Slam, May 1995, we are reminded that wrestling in this era was not a straight line, but a collision of extremes, of life and death, hope and despair, triumph and catastrophe. And as the issue closes, the call rings out to the fans. Remember the past, feel the present, and brace for what comes next, because in professional wrestling, the story never ends.